So long, my friends, I'll see you again. It pains me to be here without Lynn. My time has come, mine so cumbersome, filled with whiskey, filled with sin, trampled down, this storm surround. Time to leave this broken town. So long, my folks, how the story goes. I can't look back from moving on. I'll take my time saying my goodbyes. I'm reminded of the times my father cried. I flew just like a bottle gracefully to the dirt beneath, trampled down, this storm's around. It's time to leave. It's time to leave this broken town. I'll take this road, however far it goes, and I'll drown my woes in every bar it holds. This bitter end left a bitter man. My sweetness left last summer's end. I flew just like a bottle gracefully to the dirt beneath, trampled down, this storm surround. Time to leave this broken town, trampled down, this storm surround. Time to leave. Time to leave. Time to leave this broken town. Time to leave this broken town. Time to leave this broken town. My heart, pumping all day long. Get me the morning when darkness comes. My heart, ooh. I'll bear it. It takes so long to mend. It's harder to lean on this shell of a man. You found love in the Lord, your family and your friends. Could you please pray for me that I can find the same within? My my heart pumping all day long. When the evening comes, please stay strong. Give me the morning when darkness falls. My heart, my heart. I found victory in the blood from the day we wed, and those vows to hold true. Nothing's gonna tear me down until the damn end. My heart belongs to you. It's always at my back. My back is always strapped with these things that I call my own. Life, it isn't always grand, but when you finally take that stand, you become a man. You needed to You meant everything to me. While you left, I could not see. I guess people just do what they want. Time, it goes faster every day, and my heart, it leads the way, while the future, it fades into a memory. Is always at my back. My back is always strapped with these things that I call my own.
Of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering do or die around me. You say your last good night while I begin.
There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
The ammunition used by Psywar.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldier, and at the same time
is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
Gripping at my skin, the walls of night close in.
but the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
As I wait to say my last goodbye.
These are the Psywar soldiers.
Caught Up is an echo chamber for content creators. Almost all content on this show, Caught Up, is created by citizen journalists. I share content created by citizen journalists whom I believe to be the best at finding facts buried deep into the abyss, or outlets whom I believe to be the best for verifiable information. We have to operate within their system, and we only have the information they allow us to have. These individuals who nerd out on fact-finding missions and then add their opinion to better inform me, to make the best choice for me, in this war of narratives is Resolute. This information war is a battle for your mind and ultimately compliance. Mainstream media would have you believe that an echo chamber promotes the spread of misleading information or fake news, thereby reinforcing one's confirmation bias. So, I am excited to share the content in hopes you will turn off mainstream media, whom I believe is just another version of entertainment. So again, welcome to Caught Up.
All right, guys. Welcome to Caught Up. It's episode 48. We're going to get into a little bit of Raytheon today. We're going to get a little bit into some CISA and a video that the director put out of CISA to all the helpful employees that are working the elections this year so that they would understand exactly what they're supposed to do. So, welcome to Caught Up, guys, and episode 48. So, as we get, by the way, People on the Porch is usually the introduction music that you guys hear most of the time, unless something's gotten screwed up or something like that. But for the most part, People on the Porch is what's going on. So they have a new song out, and Big Bad World, as I believe is what the name is. And before the show is over, we're going to play that song, People on the Porch. Danny Elson and them, they allow me to play their music, and I become good friends with them, and they got a great band. So if you're interested in good music from some Patriots, People on the Porch. So that's where it's going to be. All right, let's get started. Can I be heard? Okay, Raytheon Company to pay over $950 million in connection with foreign bribery, export control, and defective pricing schemes. Raytheon. These guys, they've been around for a long time, longer than I've known who they were or weren't, and they've changed names from one thing to another, but it's interesting. Homeland Security investigated this company, Raytheon, which belongs to the federal government. They're investigating themselves. As you can see, it's October 16th. They're ordered to pay approximately $950 million. All right. Wikipedia, I know not everybody likes it, but Wikipedia is a good place to start for some things. And what it'll do is it'll give you a place to go somewhere else. So the Raytheon Company was a major U.S. defense contractor. Why, I wonder, it says was, like it's past tense. And industrial corporation with manufacturing concentrations in weapons and military and commercial electronics. It was previously involved in corporate and special mission aircraft. Until early 2007, Raytheon was the world's largest producer of guided missiles. And in April 2020, the Raytheon Company merged with United Technologies Corporation to form Raytheon Technologies, which changed its names to RTX. So, it's headquartered in Massachusetts, which is pretty much a blue state. And it was founded in July 7th, 1922. It says 102 years ago, but the founder is Vannevar Bush, Lawrence K. Marshall, and Charles Smith. The interesting one is the Vannevar Bush. If you know anything about that gentleman and all the things that he was involved with, if you've seen the movie Oppenheimer and all that stuff. So, odd that this company was founded by him. So merged with United Technologies, and it became the RTX Corporation, Waltham, Massachusetts, and the key people there, the revenue it makes, the net income. It's got the website, number of employees as of 2018. It's a very, very, very big defense company for our government. So they were sued. It says in August of 24, RTX agreed to pay $200 million fine for the unauthorized export of defense technology to China, Russia, Iran, and elsewhere to settle more than 750 violations of the Arms Export Control Act and the International Traffic in Arms Regulations, or ITAR. The company was allowed to pay only half the fine to the government and to put half of the fine toward remedial compliance measures to strengthen RTX's compliance program. In October of 24, RTX agreed to pay nearly $1 billion to settle allegations of defrauding the U.S. Defense Department and bribing a Qatari military official. Company officials said the misconduct mostly occurred before 2020 and pledged to improve its compliance program. Look, there's Real Ed Reno. Hell yeah, Ed. How you doing, man? Raytheon. They have a facility in Oak Ridge. Who you think owns Raytheon, Real Ed? Vanguard? BlackRock? The poll is fixing to get answered in my next little picture here, so I'm going to give it one more second. Has anybody answered it on Facebook? Nope. No one has. All right. All right. Here we go. Businesses. Raytheon is comprised of 5 major business divisions. Integrated Defense System based in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. And there's the president. Intelligence, Information, and Services based in Dulles, Virginia. Missile Systems based in Tucson, Arizona. Space and Airborne Systems based in McKinney, Texas. Force Point based in Austin, Texas. Raytheon's businesses are supported by several dedicated international operations, including Raytheon Australia, Raytheon Canada, limited operations in Japan, Raytheon Microelectronics in Spain, Raytheon UK, formerly Raytheon Systems Limited, and Thales Raytheon System in France. We got a lot of shit going on overseas. This company is supposed to benefit the United States of America. It's one of the top 3 leading in defense industries for our military. What's it say? They invented the microwave oven at Y12. I would say old money. You're probably right. In recent years, Raytheon has expanded into other fields while redefining some of its core businesses and activities. Raytheon has identified 5 key strategic business areas where its focuses, its expertise, and resources are Homeland Security. And yet, they got caught selling out shit to China, Iran, and Russia. How about this? Missile defense, precision engagement. Look at my logo here. Intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, process improvement. Raytheon Lean 6. I was just trying to find out. lost track of where I was at. I was trying to show again where it said Iran, China, Russia. All right. Anyway, who owns them? Right here. As of December 2014, according to filed reports, the top 10 institutional shareholders of Raytheon are Wellington Management Company, Vanguard, State Street Corporation, which used to be State Street Capital or still maybe is, Barrow, Hanley, Mawiney, and Strauss, BlackRock Institutional Trust Company, BlackRock Advisors, Bank of America, Bank of New York, Mellon, Deutsche Bank, and Macquarie Group. Yes, they did participate in the Manhattan Project. Raytheon did, I think, only because the Bush character was a part of that project. He was a part of all of that. So let's close the poll on Facebook. Nobody probably answered it anyway. All right. So yes. So Raytheon, who, let me go back to the very beginning here. Raytheon Company to pay $950 million in connection with foreign bribery, export control, and defective pricing schemes. Our government, who pays RTC to help develop weapons, the third largest military contractor, right, is being investigated by its Homeland Security Investigations, which is also part of the federal government, and has pleaded to pay half up front while re-educating the employees to make sure that this does not ever happen again. I don't know what's wrong with this, guys, but when I read these articles and I'm carrying on, I'm like, the Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security, all these corporate or all these agencies within the U.S. government, the taxpayers are funding, and here we are, we're investigating the same damn institutes that we're paying. It's like, I mean, where's this? I mean, money's changing hands from one agency to the next. I just, it makes no sense to me. Common sense would say, common sense would say something's wrong. You know what I mean? We, these old companies that carry on, and they're destroying our country at the same time. So, I mean, I say destroying the country. They're not really destroying the country, but the individuals that run these businesses, the Vanguards, the State Street Corporations, the BlackRocks, and all them other people, those are the ones who are trying to eradicate the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, maybe even states. You know, they might want these places to be individual nations. I don't know. The further you dig into those guys, especially those three, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street Capital, they're buying up properties and real estate, and they're involved in everything. Our cybersecurity, they're involved in infrastructure, they're involved in probably elections. I wouldn't doubt that. They're involved in so much, you know. So odd to me, though, that they've been caught in these bribery schemes and devaluation pricing, and so the company is in trouble. But what about the individuals that run the company? So you got those 10 funders, not founders, but funders. The funders, the 10 people that own it. I mean, nobody is held accountable there. the problem we have in our country right now is the lack of accountability. The mandate of the people claims to require that, and yet it's never followed through with. So it bothers me to know that we're not holding these people accountable. So you might ask me, Brian, what are you doing to hold these guys accountable? And outside of my podcast, probably really nothing. I would have to research, get involved in some things locally, probably, and maybe have to start something because maybe there's nothing going on locally here. I mean, we have a conservative groups and we have the blue groups here, I'm sure. I'm not aware of where they're at because I don't really follow into them, but I know the one or two places where the conservative groups are here in our county, and I've been to a couple of those things, but to me, it's a bunch of normie people up there that they're waiting on the next election to change things, and we know that elections aren't real, and they're fake, and until they do things the correct way, they're just going to put those people in place as needed. For example, with the no more Joe Biden in the campaign running for president, insert Kamala Harris into the campaign running for president. When she ran for president in the primary in 2015, she didn't get 1% of her vote in her own state to even be a part of that primary, and somehow she got placed as a VP. And now she's running for a president, they claim, but when you're not a real VP and you're not a real candidate, she is a real person, apparently, but she is none of those things as far as literally or factually, and it's because the way that the voting systems are. And so when we have these big corporations like Raytheon, and who are supposed to be public and private sectors there, with classified clearances and well versed in the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, and anything departmentalized that comes with our government, and it's not transparent, is a real problem. So we get elections under control. We get a lot of these things back in control. You know, put the people back where they belong, put the patriots back in charge. As we said, nothing can stop what's coming. So let's see. Personal liberty is determined to the corporate business plan. Right. And see, when I first started listening, besides old man, just pounding it down our throats for years growing up before we get out of the house, trying to run from it, really, you know what I mean? That real Ed Reno would understand. And then here we are, I'm 50, and a lot of the things that were said back then are true. So I do have a press pass, brother. That's amazing. But some of these guys out there believe that the United States is not the United States. They think it's a corporate entity, and it happened somewhere in the late 1800s, and it's brought us to where we are now. And a lot of that may be true. I don't know. I haven't dug into that stuff deep enough to know, or to be. I mean, to be able to give my common sense on that part, you would have to. But there's people out there. There's podcasters out there that dig deep into that stuff like that. So I just haven't gotten myself into that. If you listen to Chris Paul, he says we need to start it all over, all the way back to the beginning of the Constitution, however that may be. And there's a lot of truth into that as well, because they have slowly chewed up and regurgitated the Constitution in so many ways that it's not even. Well, the Constitution is easy to understand. It's all the dumb shit that they tried to add to it. So, like, if you go back to the biblical times when the Jews were walking around with Jesus Christ and the Pharisees and the Sadducees, how many laws did they have? I mean, they had to do things on certain days, this, that, and the other, so on and so forth. And so they had like 667, 680, rules on top of rules on top of rules, and they had Roman rules and they had Jewish rules, and so our country is looking more and more like that. You know what I mean? Where we have a group of people that will actually come out on the street and tell you that you can't do things because they think that they are that, and they think they're the majority and they're really the minority. We have a lot of that going on. Old man was right about a lot of things for sure, Ed. He sure as hell was. He was right about a lot of things. He just kept repeating it, regurgitating it when you're 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, you ain't thinking about politics. You're thinking about women or girls then, pussy, right? When's the next party or whatever, you know what I mean? I don't know, and then you're being bombarded with Reagan and the Clintons and then the Bushes, and then you grow up and reality hits and you're just like, damn. Well, all those things were fun, and yes, they were consuming to the mind and the body. The reality of it is that if we don't pay attention to politics, then we find ourselves in the situation that we find ourselves in now. And I'll take responsibility for that, because while I should have been doing a better job paying attention to politics, public education didn't give us that. When I got out of school, like I said, I was into everything else but that. And then I went out and voted. That would make me a low information or a low IQ voter at 18. And that's exactly what you got from me then. Not today. Not today. I want to share the truth. I'm a patriot. I want to make sure that people understand. I talk about it at work. I talk about it everywhere I go. For the most part, I drive people nuts in my home now, just like old man used to drive us nuts when we were home. And which is what made me create the podcast, so that the ones that I live with didn't have to hear it continuously all over again, because that's exactly what would happen. You would continue right on, and you drive them batty. So, but when you hear people talk about they're not into politics and they don't vote, you're into politics. You're just stupid. That's a dumb statement. That's un-American. That's not patriotic. And that shows your real public education there. That's exactly what they want you to say. You're not into politics. You don't want to vote. You don't want to be a part of a jury duty. You don't want to be a part of election committees and polling stations in election areas voluntarily. You don't want to do any of those things. It's all un-American. That's not what it's about. You are supposed to be doing those things. We should be volunteering for those things. The Constitution and the Bill of Rights is not a conservative right-wing thing. It's the actual foundation of the country you live in. And if you don't like either one of those two, you're un-American. And you should leave, because there are very many countries out there that don't have a constitution like ours. And there may be one out there that fits your version of what you think should be correct. So, and then I would go on one step further and say, this probably not a show for you either, because while I am a conservative Christ follower, I'm not saying I'm a Christian, because I don't believe in the religion that they try to push down our throat. The religion they push down our throat is no better than the public education that they push down our throat. And when you can learn to decipher through the garbage that they give you and figure out what's real, Christ was real. Reality in this world that we live in is real, and the politics that control it is real, and we all feel the sting from it some way, and we don't have to. We don't have to. At least in this country, we don't have to. So that was my rant. Raytheon's a piece of shit. It says, my 9-year-old grandson came to me and said, Papa, what is conspiracy? Yeah. It's a made-up word for the truth. It's what the media use to spin facts. Facts. And they've been doing this for 100+ years now. That they have. So if you don't know who Raytheon is, look into them. Start, like I said, with Wikipedia. Go from there. The search will get more broader, and it'll expand, and you'll find out just in all the things that they were a part of, like Manhattan projects and all those things that go all the way back to World War II, and the people that were the founders. And it's very, very interesting that a company that we founded that does all the, or at least number 3 in defense for our military, is being sued by our federal government and investigated by our Homeland Security. Just puzzles the shit right out of me. It's like a circle of fuckness. I mean, that's exactly what that is. A circle of fuckness, man. So, all right. So that was our caught up content 1. Trying to figure out. Wait. I have videos. So,
we face a hostile ideology, global in scope, atheistic in character, ruthless in purpose, and insidious in method. Unhappily, the danger it poses promises to be of indefinite duration. To meet it successfully, there is call for not so much the emotional and transitory sacrifices of crisis, but rather those which enable us to carry forward steadily, surely, and without complaint, the burdens of a prolonged and complex struggle with liberty the stake.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. Today, no war has been declared, and however fierce the struggle may be, it may never be declared in the traditional fashion. If you are awaiting a finding of clear and present danger, then I can only say that the danger has never been more clear, and its presence has never been more imminent. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations.
You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down. I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
In my former life, I was an insider as much as anybody else. Now I'm being punished for leaving the special club and revealing to you the terrible things that are going on having to do with our country. There is nothing the political establishment will not do, no lie that they won't tell, to hold their prestige and power at your expense. And that's what's been happening. Their financial resources are virtually unlimited. Their political resources are unlimited. Their media resources are unmatched. And most importantly, the depths of their immorality is absolutely unlimited. For them, it's a war. And for them, nothing at all is out of bounds. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation. The corrupt establishment knows that we are a great threat to their criminal enterprise. They know that if we win, their power is gone, and it's returned to you, the people. Will be. The corrupt political establishment is a machine. It has no soul. I knew these false attacks would come. I knew this day would arrive. It's only a question of when. This is not simply another four-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. I take all of these slings and arrows gladly for you. I take them for our movement so that we can have our country back. Our great civilization here in America and across the civilized world has come upon a moment of reckoning. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again. Our campaign represents a true existential threat. It's a movement the likes of which we have never in history, in this country, seen before. Never in history.
I'm a wartime president. It's a war. It's a war. Different kind of a war than we've ever had. I know that this is a challenging time for all Americans. We're enduring a great national trial, and we will prove that we can meet the moment. I want to assure the American people that we're doing everything we can each day to confront and ultimately defeat this horrible, invisible enemy. We're at war. In a true sense, we're at war, and we're fighting an invisible enemy.
Our Independence Day is at hand.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
Powerful, right? Information war, right? This is exactly what's going on. This is exactly what needs to be shared. People need to see this stuff. Information war. We're not in a kinetic war. We're not in a, like what we see on the news overseas, people dying type thing, shot, dead for real. This is an information war. It's been a major information war for a while, right? So long before Trump ever got into office, these things existed and these groups were in place. For example, the beginning, JFK created that school for PSYOPs, for PSYWAR. And this is exactly what's been going down for quite some time. It was a major play to brainwash the American public through the television. And until the internet, until podcasting, until social media, there was no way to challenge it the way that you can today. No major outlet can go out there and say anything and call it fact when you can get online and watch hundreds of videos in real time of whatever that area is going on in by people we call citizen journalists. And to me, that is more factual than anything you're going to watch on that TV. So when these videos are made from events like that, what we've been watching goes all the way back to the past. JFK, Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump. It's information war, and we're winning this. One more thing. Remember we were talking about how Raytheon was investigated by Homeland Security. All that money comes from the taxpayers, is given to Raytheon to do defense and whatever else. They use that money to bribe officials and lobbyists and apparently people over there in Qatar, and all that good stuff like that. And then somehow the money comes back around. And guess who Homeland Security has for temporary protected status? You know, with everything that's going on in these hurricane-ravaged areas, look, October 17th, 2024, Department of Homeland Security, protection for Lebanese nationals currently in the United States, is announcing new actions to provide temporary immigration reprieve for eligible Lebanese nationals currently in the United States, right? Okay, how about this one? Formal recommendations by the CIS Ombudsman, Citizenship and Immigration, Office of Citizenship and Immigration Service Ombudsmans. What are they recommending? Secretary Mayorkas announces extension and redesignation of Somalia for temporary protected status. 18 months from September 18th of this year till March 17th, 26. Mayorkas announces extension and redesignation of Yemen for temporary protection. Mayorkas announces, look, that was July 8th, 24. This is June 28th, 24. Extension and redesignation of Haiti for temporary protected status. 18 months, August 4th, 24 this year, to February 3rd, 26. Mayorkas announces extension and redesignation of Ethiopia. Mayorkas announces extension and redesignation of Burma, Myanmar. Temporary status. 18 months, guys. Syria, 18 months. Cameroon, 18 months. What's this one? Venezuela. And look, it has 2 and 3 and 4 more pages to go through. And while this country is going through what it's going through with FEMA and all that, we are passing out citizenship temporarily in the form of work visas and whatever else to Somalians, mostly terrorists, Yemenis, and most of these are men, military age men, Yemen, terrorists, Haiti. Haiti. Don't they like your pets? Ethiopia. They may like you. Syria. I mean, come on. Ridiculously crazy. We're handing out temporary citizenship, and we don't have enough money for what's going on. North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, all that area they got ravaged. All them red states that got ravaged by those overseeded hurricanes. So let's go on to this real quick. Nope, not that one. Right here. FEMA. So it says, let me see. Right here. What is FEMA's federal flood risk management standard requirement regarding natural features and nature-based solutions? So they want to rebuild and help, right? And look what they're doing. With this rule, FEMA will now explicitly require consideration of alternatives that use natural features or incorporate nature-based solutions, and those alternatives and practices require them to be used. FEMA is prioritizing the use of natural-based solutions to tackle consequences of climate change, like increasing flooding and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Nature-based solutions can reduce flood risk while also improving water quality, adding recreational space, improving public health, and providing many other economical and social advantages to communities. They overseeded a hurricane and created that. And FEMA's telling you, in order for you to get the right amount of money that you want, this is what you got to do to help tackle climate change. Crazy. They create the issue. It's almost like a intervention. I had an intervention not long ago. I was accused of doing something in someone's house while I was there for a week that I never did, but they waited till I got home to call me to let me know just how wrong I was. So they created an issue and then tried to give me an intervention. How does that work? This is what FEMA did. FEMA didn't create the problem. Agencies within the U.S. federal government did. FEMA's there to make sure that you're going to comply with their new Green Deal at the moment. So they ravaged the red states to help with election interference, to make sure that voting wouldn't be as easy. And then now you have FEMA giving you rules and regulations for the $750 or the restoration of your property, because I would imagine that the insurance companies are probably going to be bankrupt. So this one says that for routine activities, this will be the only public notice provided. Other activities and those involving facilities that do not meet the above 5 criteria are required to undergo more detailed review, including the study of alternate locations. Meaning, if you don't like what's going on, they're just gonna move you. In many cases, an applicant may have started facility restoration before federal involvement. So if you're over there trying to fix your house at the moment because you can't get no help from the federal government, FEMA will fund eligible restoration provided, remember, you follow their flood plan crazy what they're asking of us, while they're giving away temporary residence. What's this? Flood plan management and protective areas. So FEMA shall take no action unless and until requirements of this regulations are complied with. The agency will provide leadership in flood plan management and protection of wetlands, informed by the best available and, what is that? Actionable science. Believe this? I believe it. Right here. They want you to promote the use of non-structural flood protection methods to reduce the risk of flood loss. Minimize the destruction, loss, or degradation of wetlands. Restore and preserve the natural and beneficial value served by floodplains, and preserve and enhance the natural values of wetlands. If you don't comply with FEMA, they want to remove you. If you built somewhere where they now consider based on science, then they won't let you build back where you were at. They're going to piss off a certain demographic of people in a region that they're not going to be able to handle, because when that can of whoop ass opens up on the minimal amounts of FEMA and local authorities that are on the side of FEMA and maybe some military, boy, oh boy, that's going to be newsworthy right there. That is exactly what they want. They're pushing people to the precipice here. You're stressed beyond max. You've lost everything. You can't find things, maybe even loved ones, right? And now if you don't follow these flood plan guideline management system based on science and bullshit and climate change, then you're not going to get the money to rebuild. You're not going to get the resources to rebuild, or you're going to be relocated. Insurance is probably not going to help you. The only other action that's going to work is you and your community working together to rebuild it, which is exactly what we were supposed to do. The federal government was never supposed to be in this position. Never. To help during natural disasters, absolutely. You bring in the National Guard and everything else. They help, this, that, and the other. Money's not an option because the taxpayers have been funding these things. Things are being allocated the right way up in Washington, D.C., and people are getting help. Homes are being restored. Families are being put back together again. No, it's just the opposite. And then when you try to get involved, look what happens. They want to shut you down, man. It amazes me. Amazes me. Okay, so I do have a video.
Hey, everybody.
Ooh, hang on. Okay. Okay, so before... Hang on, guys. There we are. So before I get into that video, this is CISA right here, guys. Remember, this is Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Everything that CISA gets involved with, something happens. Scott Key Bridge, let's see, pipelines, ransom on cyber infrastructure type of things, all that stuff like that. So, yeah, they're in charge of that per the federal government. This is just an agency that is a tax-funded payer agency. And see, I have the video, a message to election officials from CISA Director Jan Easterly. And you have to know who Jan Easterly is. Well, I haven't done a whole lot of research on her. What little research I did do on her says she was the best available DEI, didn't earn it, person for that position. A woman with woke ideologies. And that's exactly what she did, because they're going to use her to continue their narrative. And since CISA was put in place to make sure that our infrastructure that's run through internet, cyber, basically, doesn't get attacked by other countries as a form of warfare, because cyber attacks from one country to another, ladies and gentlemen, is a form of warfare. Just like information warfare, this is a cyber warfare, this, that, or the other. That's what this agency was intended for. But instead, like everything else they destroy, they have found a way to use it against the people. And so election infrastructure incident response. It's a guide. I went over this, I don't know, maybe a month or so back. It's on one of my episodes where they passed this garbage out to election officials to pass down to their teams, so that when you show up to vote, like if you wear a shirt that says MAGA, where I live, they may make you take the shirt off before they allow you to vote. And I don't know where the fuck they think they get the authority to do that, other than from a playbook like this to make sure that they can temper it an incident. That's all they're saying. They're trying to let you know, we can't do this, we can't do that, but we can tell you can't come vote unless you change your shirt. I know this from personal experience. I had to turn my shirt inside out to vote. I raised Cain about it too. My wife will tell you. It made her very uncomfortable. It made a lot of other people uncomfortable. But it didn't matter to me. But the election officials that were in our high school, our local high school at the time, was making sure that I understood that I was not allowed to wear something like that because it might offend somebody else. And if anybody knows Brian Riley personally or over this podcast, if you got hurt feelings, get bigger fucking feelings. There's no reason we should be offended by much of anything. Period. I was raised that sticks and stones break your bones, but words will never hurt you. And I've lived by that ever since. I raised my children to do the same damn thing. Period. Period. So why are they making election infrastructure incident reports? Because when I play this video, you'll see why. But right down here, if all of you guys didn't know, you can go to their websites like these. You can go to our agencies, and they give you all the information you're looking for. Like CISA and FBI release product security bad practices for public comment. I don't know what that means, but the headline would tell me that maybe there's something going on. They're working together because they may not like what you have to say, but I could be wrong. A message to election officials from the director. CISA and FBI warn of Iranian-backed cybersecurity activity to undermine U.S. democratic institutions. What you want to bet that has something to do with the elections? They've been sounding the warning for this for about, I don't know, a little over a month now, trying to blame it on Iran, instead of blaming it on the actual agencies in which our elections are running through. CISA releases anonymous threat response guidance and toolkit for K through 12. You know, like active school shooters, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. And then here, find help locally, contact your region, assist visit, protect critical infrastructure, information, industry, small and medium businesses, and educational and institutions. Educational institutions. And then look here, all these resources that they have at their, additional CISA resources. Federal Cyber Defense Skilling Academy, CISA events, CISA service catalogs, and CISA training. These are all re-education tools, people. Like, if there's ever a civil war again and we the people lose, these are the type of things that they're going to have us in. We'll be going to re-educate. We'll be in concentration camps with the loudspeakers, and all you'll hear is Ross Perot. How funny is that? Nope. You probably hear Michelle Michael Obama. Something like that, right? All right. Let's get back to what this was right here.
Hey everybody, Jen Easterly here, Director of CISA. So we're just a few weeks out from the 2024 general election when citizens across the United States will make their voices heard by casting ballots for the candidates of their choice. Free and fair elections are a hallmark of American democracy, and at CISA, we are proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with you all, the state and local election officials who are on the front lines of administering and securing our nation's elections. And as we know, while elections may be political, election security is not. In this job, I've had the privilege to witness firsthand your tireless efforts to ensure that our nation's election infrastructure is as secure and resilient as ever. And so today, I have a message for all our election officials across the country. Thank you, and keep up the amazing work. I know it's not easy. You all are operating in a threat environment that is more complex than ever before. From cyber criminals targeting office networks to foreign adversaries seeking to undermine public confidence in our democratic institutions to extreme weather conditions that will cause disruptions to election administration, all.
Did you hear that? Right there. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? The cyber attacks, weather. She just gave us a broad area there, ladies and gentlemen, of all the areas in which they can attack us for these elections. Just saying.
Of these things you are asked to take on, to prepare for, and to defend against in order to secure a resilient democratic process. We also recognize that this is being asked of you while many of you are experiencing harassment and threats that are outrageous and unacceptable. But please never forget, you're not alone in this. Your teammates here at CISA and across the federal government stand ready to support you in this no-fail mission of defending American democracy. We know you've heeded the call to serve our nation, not for glory or for financial reward, but because it is the right thing to do for our national security. And it will be because of your leadership, your dedication, your professionalism, your belief in the foundation of our democracy, and the trust that each of you have created in your communities as public servants. Because of that, the American people can have confidence in the outcome in November. Thank you for all that you do and for being the real American heroes.
So there you go. She outlined it real quick, just ever so gently, saying whether cyber, personally, however, they're prepared for you. Not to make sure that the election's done correctly. They're trying to make sure that they got their asses prepared for you. Just plain and simple, man. That woman right there, doesn't want your feelings hurt. She wants you comfortable while you're counting votes. Illegally, probably. But that's that right there. That is exactly. So, just to give you an example, they know what they're doing. They think they got this under control. So, it amazes me. Let's see one more thing here.
Trump against the machine. If you vote for Kamala Harris, you're not voting for her to run the country. You're voting for the powerful machine that already runs the country. The machine of political persecution, media lies, censorship, election interference, and open borders. Instead, if you vote for Donald Trump, you're voting for the power of a real president to represent the people.
Our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom.
To make their voices heard.
They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you.
To make America great again.
Powerful again, wealthy again, healthy again, strong again, proud again, safe again. And we will make America great again.
Vote against the machine. Vote for Donald Trump.
That's the truth. It's a machine. And so I got that video from Elon Musk off Twitter. He posted it. That gentleman that made it, his name was down there. I removed my caught up long enough to see it, and then it's apparently there at the very end. But anyway, because we are an echo chamber, we share it all. So, but yeah, the machine. Very, very much a machine. And the machine goes through media. The machine goes through everything. And so we know that Kamala Harris did a, I'll just tell you what, let's just watch it.
Now she's playing footsie with Rogan and begging to come on Fox. Well, be careful what you wish for, because Kamala Harris just sat down with Bret Baier for a half hour, and she was roughed up so badly, Pelosi's asking Joe to get back in.
How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration, because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you,
now,
just a number, do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point, okay? The point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
it's a rough estimate of 6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question, I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. So looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
The first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the... Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please? But you have to let me finish,
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate, and they didn't bring up that bill.
I'm in the middle of responding to the point you're raising, and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem.
This was the first time the vice president and the Democrat nominee had ever had to answer for herself. She spent more time defending herself with Brett than she has defending the actual border. Then it got personal.
Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There's no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Brett Baer is giving Kamala an opportunity to say if she were president, Laken Riley would have been alive. Kamala should have said that's something I would have done differently than Biden. I would have secured the border much earlier, but I was just the VP serving at the pleasure of the president. And if you vote for me, I promise I'll protect women like Laken Riley. At this stage of the campaign, saying, I'm sorry about the dead woman on my watch, it's all Trump's fault, it's not going to fly. Harris has never been pressed this hard on her border policies. And it continued.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss. Sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to answer
in
her?
all fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed.
Kamala just said the border has always been broken, but it was secure for 3 years when Laken Riley was murdered. That doesn't make any sense. How did Trump break the border that you said was secure? You can't follow Kamala's logic because there is none. She doesn't know anything about the border. She doesn't care about the border. She just doesn't want anyone talking about it. Her whole interview was a continuation of a cover-up. Watch.
Madam Vice President, you call Donald Trump. You call Donald Trump. He's misguided. You say now
he's unstable. He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room. And he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And
but,
Donald Trump
But
is,
you talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said
and
within a
if
few
you
minutes of
watch
talking to President
Donald
Biden
Trump-
at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump.
So Kamala Harris didn't want to talk about Kamala Harris, and she definitely didn't want to talk about Joe Biden. She never once touted the accomplishments of the Biden administration, not a single one. She just wants to prosecute Donald Trump. But America doesn't want a prosecutor. We want a president. At one point, she just snapped.
This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
Why didn't we see anger like that about the border, about prices, about crime? Never kind of showed that flash of anger when it was affecting millions of Americans. She wasn't likable. She wasn't charming. She was never funny. She wasn't warm. There was nothing gracious, eloquent, or reassuring about this performance. Then Brett asked her the question that she's had a week, actually the whole campaign, to think about. Watch this.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C.
Okay, she spent 8 years in Washington, D.C. That's twice as long as Trump. And what would you do differently? She said she'd bring fresh new ideas. Then she never said what the ideas were.
Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years, so what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we have been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of people
that is
tell
about
pollsters,
turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
But you're
people
the
have
lever of
become.
power.
But listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president. One, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous.
So turning the page isn't turning the page from Biden. She's going to do everything the same. She's just turning the page from Trump, who wasn't in office. Her slogans don't even make sense because 79% of the country wants to turn the page from her. This is what an actual Kamala Harris interview should look like. Brett gave her the same treatment as he gave Trump in the spring: respectful, firm, and persistent. We didn't swap her answers to make her look better like CBS. We didn't invite little Timmy along to hold her hand like CNN. This was a big girl interview, and she flopped.
Big girl interview, and she flopped. So it was an 11-minute video, but he does a fantastic job of going over it, I think. And like I said, it's an echo chamber. I don't watch Fox and them. I just found the clip on Twitter or X and shared it. It's just what we do. So what I do want to say is they like using the word democracy. They want to make sure you understand that you're in a democracy. You are in a republic with a democratic process. That's what it is. They can call it a democracy, but it's not. I don't mean it to sound that way. We are in a republic with a democratic process. So they want you to hear that word. Trump's destroying a democracy. And thank God he's destroying that democracy, because those people that want you to understand what that version of that word means is not in your favor whatsoever. And then the other word is former. Former intelligence, former FBI, former this and former that. They are reluctantly so glad to use, I might have used the word reluctantly wrong. I have a public education, East Tennessee public education. They use the word former like democracy. They just throw it out there like some, well, you know, like how Kamala used to throw it out there for Montel Williams, you know. So, yeah. None of these formers are coming to the front door of the news agencies to say, yep, that's exactly what I did. And if they sign something, they're stupid. And again, their version of what democracy is needs to be destroyed and thrown away, because it's not the version of democracy that the founders in this country deserves. So, she did say when she's come on, Brett, you know what's going on. You know what's going down, because they need that media to help. And here's another thing, guys, think of real quick. There at the end, when they started, like, you know, it was about the last year before he did the debate with Trump, and they decided not to use him in their next presidential campaign, even though he got the primary votes, supposedly. But we all know he's not probably a supposed president. But anyway, they allowed the media to bring up everything. His brother, Hunter, all the scams, the money, the shell companies, all this, that, and the other over the last year, a little longer. They were exposing Joe Biden, letting him come out on stage, seeing the real Joe Biden for who he was, this, that, and the other, versus that protection that they had on him, because I think they were afraid that he wouldn't make it for another 4 years. And so let's get him out of the way. We'll let him damage himself so it doesn't look like the uniparty deep state, you know, all these D's and R's together, you know. It doesn't look like they created the issue with the, you know, not a real election, not a real president, this, that, and the other. So now here we have, you know, not a real candidate, not a real VP, Kamala Harris, being left to be devoured by the media in the middle of a campaign, so many days, you know, 2 weeks and a couple of days before the actual election day, and she got her ass kicked by Brett, whatever. And look, I know they're giving him accolades for what he did. Even Trump, we'll show you right here. Even Trump comes out and does it. But let me tell you what that bastard did. He he's the one that called the election for, I forget what state it was. Was it Arizona? I don't know, in 2020 anyway. Great job. This is Donald Trump's. Great job, Brett Baer. In this interview with lying Kamala Harris, she has a massive and irredeemable case of Trump deranged syndrome, TDS. So bad, in fact, that she barely able to talk about any subject other than the man who had the best economy ever, the strongest border in history, and who just got the unanimous endorsement from the U.S. Border Patrol, Trump. Their endorsement was tremendous honor. They said that Comrade Kamala did a terrible job, the absolute worst in memory, and can't be allowed to do it again. She's also the worst VP, if you believe her to be that, in history, but hopefully will soon be gone. Again, congratulations to Brett on a tough a very fair interview, one that clearly showed how totally incompetent Kamala was. That for sure he did. That for sure he did. He sure showed how incompetent she was. And, yeah, so whoever's in charge of that, they've allowed this to happen. They're allowing her to be devoured. Why? I don't know if they're going to, change it up again just before the election. I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't see them. I kind of think that Trump will get the electoral vote and the popular vote. I mean, he's going to win it all, kind of like a Ronald Reagan type thing, and they're not going to be able to stop it. So if I had any advice to anybody out there at all, pay attention to down ballots, the Senate, the House, this, that, and the other, everything that's going on in your local elections. They're spending an awful lot of money on the Senate races for sure, on the Democratic side of things, to make sure that when he gets in there, that they're going to make it as rough as it was for his first 4 years. And if we have the mandate of the people, which he does have the mandate of the people, that shouldn't happen. So Trump wins in a landslide, electoral, popular, and then we need to make sure down ballot is being won too, because that's exactly how they're attacking us. But he was trying to give kudos to Brett Baer, and because he came after her the way that he did. And I don't like Brett because of what he did in the 2020 election. I'll never like Brett because I don't like the media. So, but just to show you, right here.
I won in 2020. You know that. And if you look at all of the tapes, if you look at everything that you want to look at, this was a very rigged election.
Are you going to go? This is how you're going to tell that independent suburban woman voter to vote for you?
We're off to winning an election, and I think we're winning very well. All corrupt stuff, Brett.
Understand about the Hunter Biden?
No, but
all
that's cheating
fair
on the
things.
election.
But
that's cheating on the election.
you lost the 2020 election.
Brett, intelligence agents.
There were recounts in all of the swing states. There was not significant widespread.
We're trying to get recounts.
Look at his demeanor. I'm not talking about Donald Trump's. I'm talking about Brett. You lost the election. He has to do that. Why does he have to do that? He has to do that because he is the one that called the election for Arizona. I think it was the state of Arizona. Could be wrong, but he called an election for a state. He did it. Son of a bitch right there. And then this. He's not happy with Trump. Trump's a little frustrated too. Trump's a little red faced there, I think, and his hair is a little out of whack for what he's accustomed to, but it is what it is. We'll finish the interview. It's only 2 minutes, guys.
Recounts, not just numbers of votes.
Widespread
cast.
corruption. There was not a sense of that.
Money gets offered to people, and some people change.
But I will people on that list that are not taking money that decided that they're not
for the most
supporting
part, they are. Please, could we have it back?
And they
please,
asked for that.
Because they have no.
They did ask for it.
No, and
they said,
I gave
"Can you
them
give the
some,
documents back?"
And we were talking.
And then they said they went to DOJ to subpoena you to get them
which
back.
they've never done before.
Right.
And
but why not just hand them over then?
Because I fired him, and he has great hatred, and that's okay, because some people do, and some people
resigned.
love me very much. He didn't resign. I asked him, give me a letter immediately. There were many things. I would say much more, not that I know of. Nixon had it. Carter had
Their
it. The
argument
Bushes
is that
had
these
it.
are super sensitive national security documents.
I'm sure.
All right,
They're arguing they're super sensitive national security documents. Is he not the president of the United States? Is he not in charge of those documents that Brett Baer acts like he's got? By God, Donald Trump's got access to documents he's not allowed to have. Bullshit. Was he fair? Did he do the same thing to Kamala in his interview that he's doing in Trump right here? I mean, it's just a 2-minute and 30-second clip that I got. 26 minutes with Kamala Harris. She got irate. Brett, he gets a little disgusted in this thing right here. We'll continue watching.
I'm sure you'll see real super sensitive that Biden has, because Biden has far more than anybody's ever kept.
And he turned them over when asked.
No, he
but
didn't. He
that's
still
what
hasn't
says.
given the 1,850 boxes. I had lots of paper. I had copies of newspaper articles. I had copies of magazines.
I know.
I
This
had
is
copies of
specifically a
everything.
quote. You're quoted on the recording saying the document was secret, adding that you could have declassified it while you were president.
When I'm not president, I can't declassify.
All right, did you hear what he just said right there? When I'm not president, I can't declassify this, right? So, he is making, my opinion, he is making the statement that Biden had these documents, these classified documents, all this intelligence he wasn't supposed to have in his garage, at the Penn, whatever, lab, the school, this, that, and the other. The Chinese had all this intelligence, access to all this stuff because he was a senator and a vice president. When you're not president, you don't have access to those things and you can't declassify. And yet, Joe Biden, Senator Joe Biden, if that is to be fact and real, had these documents in these locations illegally. Say what you will.
That's what you said. You didn't declassify it.
I said, no. I said I couldn't
could have
but that wasn't a
declassified it.
document, Brett. An article.
I'm just saying what the indictment says.
Well,
the recording and the people in the room who
These
testified.
people are very dishonest people. They're thugs. These are thugs.
The
These are
suggestion was
dishonest
that
people.
you wanted this as evidence that the military, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Milley.
I never ordered it to happen, no.
But that's
No.
why you wanted the document.
I don't think I've ever seen a document from Milley.
Why do you want to hold on to those documents after you're president?
I don't say I do.
You just didn't know it was in the boxes?
discussing with NARA that the president has every right to keep whatever he wants. And
Did you hear that? The president has every right to keep what he wants. And that's backed up by the Supreme Court because of Bill Clinton and the shit he kept in his sock drawer, right? So, again, he is emphasizing the fact that a president, not a VP, not a former senator, not a lobbyist, not a Hillary Clinton, not any of these people, only presidents.
that includes me.
And the question is
This was
whether
not a criminal case. Let me
highly classified government national security documents fall in that
I
category, and that battle is going to be fought in the courts.
It's already been fought.
You're facing obviously a number of potential charges in other cases, and I know you've said that
All
you
Democratic-
believe that they're political
course,
witch hunts.
of course.
But what do you say to the voter who really liked many of your policies?
They still do.
But they can't handle the scandals or the controversies or the name calling or the vitriol. What do you say to that voter who's worried that that all leads to a general election loss?
That voter is not worried about that last statement that Brett said because they were trying to change the narrative to the part where he was a criminal, he's indicted, he's convicted, he's all these things. We're going to find out here in the end. He's not any of these things. Right there's your problem, ladies and gentlemen. You see them group of people? You got Jimmy Carter on one end and Bush on the other, right? Look at the assholes in between. Take a look at that. Right there. That's the problem. Them, and then if you take Reagan out of there, the presidents prior to, right? What are they worried about? I did this article last Tuesday, the Coming Trump Revenge Tour, right? It goes into this article thoroughly about the weaponization of the Department of Justice, going after your political opponent, lawfare, ladies and gentlemen. Lawfare. What kind of lawfare? The type of lawfare that keeps you in court for months. Money, this, that, and the other. All these other things. Bombarding you from one thing to another. Repeating the fact that you have an enemies list. That you are a convicted criminal. That you will go after your political opponents. And here's the thing. Joe Biden, Hunter Biden and Jim Biden, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton again. Right? All these things. They blame the Supreme Court. It's odd to me that we've had all these problems for 100+ years in this country, and it's Donald Trump's fault. The media blames Trump. The politicians blame Trump. The other countries blame Trump. Other leaders of other countries blame Trump. How can this one man who has only been a politician for 4 years spend any time at all in that house for 4 years, create all the issues that we've had for 100+ years? They're not going to be the people who stand in the way. He's talking about firing the ones that won't do his bidding, this, that, and the other. All these whistleblowers that had special protection while Trump was president no longer have the same special protection. They're out to get them. This article is a little lengthy, but it goes into great detail about what Trump will do on his revenge tour. And it's a playbook that they've been using for quite some time. And when I say they, you know who I'm talking about. Deep state, uniparty, this, that, and the other. All of it. Prosecutorial busts. Yes, everything they can do to go after. They better find new jobs if Trump is elected, because he's coming after them with the Schedule F proposal. All these things. This article, that is what they're worried about right now. Nothing else. Has nothing to do with the fact that the hurricane came in and ravaged anything like that. All those people, not the border, this, that, and the other. They are focused solely on Trump coming to whoop their asses. The Supreme Court did not immunize his staff, go after his staff, right? No, all this, that, and the other. I'm telling you, this is their playbook. This is what they have done. And we, the Patriots, are countering it because it's an information war. It's who knows more about what, right? And so I don't know anything. I don't have any special inside contacts, any deep state. I mean, I'm just a dude in a trailer in East Tennessee that tries to pay attention to a little bit of everything, that learned how to decipher the information, that found quality people to watch like X22 Report with Dave. That's a good one. I'd start there. If you want a little bit of a Christian perspective to it, watch And We Know with LT. You want to find out who nerds out and dives deep into documents where they give you all the information and they hide the nuggets? I would look to Burning Bright and Just Human with their show on Sunday nights called Defected, or their Substacks on Substack, or their Rumble, just whatever. Those guys dig deep into it. Or if you want some real insight, opinion, sort of like a Limbaugh type dude, Rush Limbaugh, my bad, Chris Paul. I'm your moderator on Substack. He is on Saturday nights with on Badlands Media with Devolution Power Hour. Him, Patrick Gunnels, and John Harold, and they do an amazing job of current events, breaking things down. Devolution itself is a article that you can go to and look for, and it's broke down into many articles, writings, videos, executive orders, all those things. Once you find a group of people that really do the hard work, and then you buy into what they got. I mean, you subscribe to what they do. You purchase products that they support, that kind of thing. You help them along the way so that they don't have to work that normal 40-hour work week that the rest of us got to get the information, so that when I find it, and it's because I've learned now that we're all looking for the same thing. So I'm looking into something, and then they'll do a show, and I'll grab a little bit of what they got, add a little bit of what I have. I'll grab something from somewhere else, we'll put it all together into a show, and this is what we got. And then my show's caught up. It's an echo chamber, and I share it. All the articles with the Gateway Pundit, Epoch Times, The Hill, The Guardian, Political, on and on. All these people have access to information that they are given. They are giving it to them, whoever they is. And so we have to work through the bullshit in order to get to the truth. And so when I think that I have found that, then I have to send it out. And I put it on Facebook and YouTube and Rumble and any other platform that we can do it that doesn't cost me an arm and a leg to put it on there. Because I work a 40-hour job and I have a family to support too and bills to pay. But at the same time, I want to be some sort of a patriot that's echoing the stuff. And so hopefully that you guys dig deeper, because please don't take my word for it. Don't take their words for it. They'll tell you the same thing. They want you to go look into these .govs and these .orgs and these, these institutions, because they give you the truth. It's just buried in facts. It's just buried in lies or deception or mis or disinformation. And so, and that's where we're at, and I think it's important for us to know that the information, it's out there. And we're winning, guys. I mean, I feel like we're winning. I don't think Kamala's going to win at all. I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think, I do believe Trump's going to I don't know what they're going to do. There's so many different theories out there. Like I said, they're allowing her to bury herself like they did Joe. Are they bringing someone else in just 16, 18 days out? Which would sort of be crazy in my opinion. But as you can see, if it was a real election, if it was real at all, then you wouldn't be able to pull one character out and plug another one in and say it's legitimate and it's illegal and we can't show you how this works, but we're awful transparent about it, which is again a bunch of bullshit. So I tend to believe that this exposure stage that we're in, hopefully there is a judicial phase coming that where civilians and military work together to put these and hold these people accountable, because that's the problem within our country with we the people. The problem is we don't hold them accountable. We are turn the other cheek. We are, I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know what you have to go through, what you got to lose, for you to finally stand up and say something, because when you start getting censored, I mean, I was on Facebook sharing articles, getting grounded, doing some little shorts on YouTube, and some little articles, getting grounded, being censored and not even making any money. It was all free. I'm not making any money here, but I wasn't making any money then when I was using my cell phone. Now I at least got laptop, microphone, monitors and everything else to try to make this little program look somewhat professional, maybe. But I was censored. I mean, and I wasn't making any money to be censored for, so it didn't make any sense. It was because I was talking about how they stole the elections, how the media played a role in it, how maybe some of these venues that hold the locations for where you go to vote, like in Detroit and Pennsylvania and Arizona, Georgia, Minnesota, the things that they did, the rules that they changed, the laws that they passed that were illegal, because they didn't go through legislations. They just created them because of a pandemic and all these things that they did. And that got me censored, and I wasn't making a penny. And so pissed me off. I had to do something. We, the people, are pissed off. And so, family says, start a podcast. So I did. So this is what I've done. It's an echo chamber. So like, follow, share, or, hit the thumbs down. It plays a role in these algorithms, I'm not looking for millions of followers or hundreds of followers even. What I really wanted was my family to follow, the ones that live in other states that from time to time ask a question, whether it's a good question or a bad question, like, I can't believe you're acting this way, saying these things, or what direction do you think things may be going? And so, which is what prompted me to share these things that got me censored, because I thought people might read. And since they weren't reading, then I thought the podcast, and since, a lot of them don't listen to that either. But there is a group of people that do. So I appreciate those that listen, because it's those who know. You're just listening to information that you probably heard on another show somewhere else, or saw it live on a show, and you're watching it as a rerun on my show live. And I appreciate that. I really do. But the goal is to get the information out there, because we're in an information war. My grandfather, who was a World War II vet, lived to be 94, just died 2 years ago. Great man of God, Christ man, religious too. But his last 15 years he was alive, every 6 weeks we would have in-depth phone conversations, and he would tell me stuff like, too much information is as bad as not enough information. So when we talk about low information voters or low IQ voters, it was because they didn't have enough information, and they showed up at the polls and tried to vote anyway. And so when you have too much information, then you have it all coming from all directions, and you don't know what's real and what's not real, and in lies the same problem. So I do my best to decipher the information as best as possible, and I feel like I'm okay, because I feel like I'm in line with the guys that I follow and listen to, the names of who I just told you a few minutes ago. We're all sort of saying and sharing the same content, just in our own ways. If you got us all together, we would probably argue for a little while and then go, oh yeah, we were all saying the same thing, just differently. And because we're all so passionate and adamant about what we're doing. Look, I'm telling you the truth. My family gets tired of hearing me. Coworkers get tired of hearing me. But they're watching the stuff on the TV. I'm competing with a ton of mis and disinformation, and trying to feed them factual information, what I believe. And I don't always win that battle, because they believe more about what comes from that TV than they do from me. And the part that I do is I can give them the information, show them where to find it, and they can read it for themselves. They don't need the TV to do it, and they still don't believe it. It's sort of like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him to drink type philosophy. So anyway, guys, it's been almost 2 hours. I got oh man, where's it at? People on the Porch, new song, and then we'll get the hell out of here. And I appreciate, like I said, hit the like, follow, all that good stuff. Which one am I on? Am I on content too? So yeah, there's the troublemakers of the world right there. Okay, guys. So, People on the Porch, their new album, Big Bad World. They don't yet have a video. But enjoy the song.
I've been giving up hope, trying to rescue my soul on the riverbank. I've been digging my hole way deeper than anybody ever think. I've been feeling a little lonely, it seems like it's never about me. I'm gonna take all my feelings to my preacher and see what he thinks. I've been trying to find time with the love of my life for too many days. Seems like everywhere I turn there's a circle that's pointing us in different ways. I wanna go back to the summer of 2003. I wanna take every minute telling her how much she means to me. Oh, if we don't listen, then we can't hear. If we aren't present, then we're not here. How can the days and the nights there's no more spark. But if we show a little bit of love, it can go so far. My sisters and my brothers, you know just who you are. Who you are. Who you are. Giving up hope, trying to rescue my soul. I'm running and I'm running till there ain't no road. Just tell my girls I love them, and I sure hope that I'll be back in the morning. I'm giving up hope, trying to rescue my soul. I'm running and I'm running till there ain't no road. Just tell my girls I love them, and I sure hope that I'll be back in the morning. I'm giving up hope, trying to rescue my soul. I'm running and I'm running till there ain't no road. Just tell my girls I love them, and I sure hope that I'll be back in the morning.
Yep, that's People on the Porch, folks, right there. And you can find them on Instagram and everywhere else, I'm sure. I don't make any money from these guys. They just allow me to play their music live. Or yeah, I did a live show. And it's the access I get. That's what I get. I get access to this band called People Out of the Porch. It's out of West Tennessee. Or Middle Tennessee, I guess, maybe, close to Nashville. They are all over. They're great. And I hope you guys enjoyed that song because it's a good. All right, guys. I appreciate. Just making sure my technology is working. All right. Like, follow, share, whatever we talked about. Raytheon, whatever. And the circle of fuck that we get with that between the federal government and these agencies and all that stuff. We talked about CISA and all their help that they do for our country and the infrastructure and everything has collapsed around it when they get their hands on it. And so maybe the elections collapsed because CISA didn't got their hands on it, right? And then the Kamala Harris beat down there by Brett and all that good stuff. So hope you enjoyed today's show. By the way, make sure you hug your necks of your family members. Don't get so caught up in everything that's going on. Don't just let it, breeze on by. Do a fair amount of everything, but hug your loved ones, parents, wife, husband, kids, whatever. We got to live in this wonderful world. We are living in a great time, people. An amazing time of history. We are living in a great time of history. So, like, share, follow, man. Y'all have a good one.
My heart, pumping all day long, getting me to morning when darkness comes. My heart, ooh. It takes so long to mend. It's harder to lean on this shell of a man. You found love in the Lord, your family and your friends. Could you please pray for me that I can find the same within? My heart, pumping all day long. When the evening comes, please stay strong. Give me the morning when darkness falls. My heart, I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna head on home before it gets too late. I turn it upside down and be thankful for what he gave. I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna hold on tight to you when it gets rough. I'm gonna lay down all my cards and call your bluff. Because the one thing in this moonlit room I trust is the beauty of your smile and the warmth inside your touch. Oh, there's nothing like a love, nothing like a love of a woman. The way she holds you tight, the way she holds you tight when you need it most. It gives you just that little bit, just to keep on living. And that's when you find out what you're made of. I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna head on home before it gets too late. I turn it upside down and be thankful for what he gave. I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna hold on tight to you when it gets rough. I'm gonna lay down all my cards and call your bluff. Because the one thing in this moonlit room I trust is the beauty of your smile and the warmth inside your touch. Oh, there's nothing like love, nothing like love of a woman. The way she holds you tight, way she holds you tight when you need it most. It gives you just that little bit, just to keep on living. And that's when you find out what you're made of. That's when you find out. That's when you find out what you're made of.